Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with a disassembly video for you. I don't do these very often. It's not just a disassembly video. It is also going to include a lot of this, most of the stuff that I use for all my disassembly stuff. I think maybe all of it. We will see. My toolkit, as one would say, stuff I recommend. A lot of it's not going to be a surprise. Maybe a couple little things are, but I don't really think so. Stuff I've talked about on the channel before. And the star of this show is going to be the ZT0562 tie. I have taken this apart before. I just kind of took it apart to look at it, put it back together before I did the review. I did dribble some KPL in here at some point. I forgot that I had, but I can smell it. So KPL smells like cherries. So you can kind of tell. I took a little sniff before because I couldn't remember if I had it or not. I'm going to do something different with it, though. We'll get to that this time. I love KPL. It works great, but there's another little thing I try on some of these bearings that are larger. ZTs have pretty large steel bearings in them, and there's a little product I use on there sometimes works really great. Sometimes it doesn't, but we're going to give it a shot today and see how it goes. Let's first talk about what I'm going to be using. Here's the stuff that I use. I made a slight change to this very recently, so the driver that I'm using is not going to be these first few that I show you, but sometimes I use these little Weeha, like I give away to you guys, these little flag things. I have the flag ones and my T8's off somewhere. I don't know where I put that. We'll find out. Sometimes I use the ones like I give away to you guys on the live shows. Really nice tools. They work great, very budget friendly. They work really, really well. Absolutely nothing wrong with them if you want to keep using those. They are great tools. But Weeha does make some fancier bits. I have this set here with the 1/4-inch ones that I really love. These things are fantastic. And I used to mostly use these with this, just a cheap Cobalt that you can get at Lowe's driver. Works okay. It has the spinning thing on top. Not particularly smooth or anything, but it works well. I have really no problem with it. These are 1/4-inch bits. And then Weeha just sent me, I would be using this today probably, except for it's huge. It's the only thing I don't like about it. It is really long. This 1/4-inch driver, but what's cool about it is it makes you feel like Batman because all the bits are spring-loaded in the end. How awesome is that? That's pretty cool. I do like that. Batman. I really like it about that. I just wish it was shorter. I wish that this extension wasn't here, and you can't take it out, if I could take it out, I'd hack it off and stick it back in, but I can't get it out. But other than that, very, very cool driver, very cool product. And yeah, spoiler, yes, everyone knows Weeha does sponsor my giveaways. Weeha does send me free stuff, but even if they didn't, I'd still buy it. They make some good stuff. Kind of halfway between the fancier bits and the ones I showed you, the little flag ones, is this little folding one, which is great, but it only goes down to a T7. So honestly, I don't use this very much. This is something I kind of grab a lot when it's a free spinning pivot and I need 2 T8s or 2 T10s or whatever. It's nice because when the bits are folded out, it's easy to get a hold of when if you have to use 2 side by side like this. It's nice for that. So I do really like it for that. So I do use it for that a little bit. The driver I used the most until recently was this Weeha driver, which has a little bit smoother spinning end on it. The one thing I didn't like about it is micro bits, which are a bit hard to find, but it does come with them, which is nice, but you kind of have to special order them. It's not something I can usually find, but from Weeha, everything's pretty much mail order anyway. Not too many shops stock Weeha bits, but it did come with a really nice set of them. These are well used. They got some corrosion and stuff on them just from being unfortunately on my desk when things got spilled and things like that, but you pull this out, they install, they go back on. And it's been a really great driver. But what has changed me is I saw Nick Shabazz recommended this on his channel. He mentioned this, and now I saw TRM was selling them. I thought I should probably get one. The Ifixit Driver. I really like this. $10. Again, it uses the micro bits, the 4mm. So you have to make sure to get those bits. This is pre-installed with the one that I know we're going to need here. So this is what you're going to see the whole time, because I know from doing this before, I'm only going to need one 8mm. So yeah, but it spins super free on the end here. nice little, that's so nice to have that when you're turning something and just be able to turn the wrench. It's a really, really nice thing. $10 on Ifixit.com, or Three Rivers Manufacturing's Spreezy channel also sells them, and sells some bits, I believe, too. So get one of these. This is one of my most recommended tools that I have in my kit. What do I use for cleaning? Well, you'll see, but I just use, isopropyl alcohol. This is whatever they sell at Wegmans, probably. I think top carrier is Wegmans, with a cat hair on it, of course, on the sticker, because it's my house. I just use these. I used to use like the little disposable pads like you see in the Shabazz disassembly videos. I've just gone to cutting up t-shirts because I have way too many freaking t-shirts. And we used to race bikes. I've got so many old bike race shirts and trade show shirts and all that kind of crap. And I cut them up and I just use these cotton things, and it's fine. And then when they get dirty, I just toss them because trust me, I got more. And I do still have some of the pads if I want to use them. If I do run out or don't feel like cutting up a shirt, I do have those too as a backup. Also, for cleaning, a lot of things that one of my something I use a whole lot, which I highly recommend everyone should have, compressed air. This is obviously just a Staples brand compressed air. Sometimes a knife, that's all it needs. It doesn't need to be totally taken apart. Compressed air, blow it out. What I do in a lot of knives, I blow out as much of the crap that's in there as I can, drip a little KPL, and then gently blow it just to work it in there a bit more. And it works a treat. Learned that from Birdshot 4, Birdshot IV, whatever it is, Birdshot IV's channel. They do that on stuff all the time. It does work great. For a quick, simple, easy fix, if you don't want to bother tearing a knife apart, it does work great. It almost always improves it. Usually I will, if it's, we'll get to the cleaning part. I guess it still involves the cleaning part. EDCI, highly recommend this stuff. Aegis EDCI formula, especially if you have a non-stainless blade. This one is 20 CV. We're not going to use this today, but I do put this on anything like D2, Crewwear, M4, stuff like that. It is awesome. It does such a good job of protecting things, and it even will clean off a little bit of corrosion if you've got it on there. If you have some serious corrosion, you're going to have to use something more, like Flitz or something like that. I don't have any of that right now, but yeah, this stuff is amazing. It protects it so well, and it's just what it says: spray on, rub in, wipe off. I've got a review of that. I will link it down below. This stuff has been fantastic. Anything D2, anything non-stainless, I spray this with. I don't always tear the knife apart to do it. Sometimes I just do the exposed area, and it works great. Another weird little trick that I do, and I'm going to demonstrate it for you because I do have a G10 handle knife here that looks a little bit it looks fine, but we're still going to do it. This is a QB. You're going to see this coming up. Yeah, I know, I'm reviewing a QB. We'll get into that when I do the QB review. Don't make any comments down below about it, but why I've decided to review a QB, because I know that I get kind of wonky about these. But if you have a knife that a G10 handle knife that the handles don't look quite as, they don't pop quite as much as you want them to, a little bit of mineral oil, and you rub it on there. Similar to the EDCI, you just kind of rub it, coat it, and then wipe it off. And ideally, you give it an hour or so to soak in. But yeah, this already, it's not slippery. The oil's all gone, but look at this side versus that side. You can really see a difference, especially when it's colors, like when it's green or something like that. I do that to a whole lot of knives just to make them look newer and shinier and fancier, and it works amazingly well because G10 will dry out, and that will kind of rehydrate it. That's it for cleaning. Lubricant, that's what we all want to know about and argue about, I assume. Primarily right now, I've been a Knife Pivot Lube guy, the KPL stuff. It's freaking fantastic. I've called it unicorn tears. It's great. It's really, really good stuff, and it's super cheap, $10 a bottle. It's really, really inexpensive. The applicator on the bottle is fantastic. You have this nice little needle applicator, which is great to get into places. Really, really love it. I'm a convert. I also do still use nano oil, which was what the hot thing was before KPL came out. It's still great. It is more expensive. What I do like about nano oil, it does come in different weights. This is the 10, which is the one I use by far the most. And then they have a 85 and a 5. The 5 I will use still a lot on traditionals because, or any knife I can't take apart that's pinned together, something like that, because it penetrates. It is an oil that's a bit thin, but it does penetrate everything, and that's nice. You can just kind of dribble it in there, and it will penetrate and get in better than anything else will. The 10 weight, though, by far is the one you're going to use the most. If you only want to buy one, buy this. Again, needle applicator. This it has this cool little cap that they all break. Every one of them I have is broken. And then the 85 works really nice for bearings. So I do like, especially larger bearings, I like using that. And lastly, and something we're going to use today, which you don't see a lot in disassembly videos, but I like, and let me explain why. This is nano grease from the Nano Oil Company. Why am I using this? So I came from the bike industry as a bike mechanic. I was always taught bearings get grease. And from day one, knife disassembling, if it had bearings, I put grease on it. I did learn eventually that some of the smaller bearings do enjoy oil much more than they enjoy grease. But as I said, this knife has some pretty large bearings, so we're going to clean off all the KPL I put on it. I'm going to try this grease. Why? Sometimes with bearings, it gives you a bit more of that, what's the word I'm looking for? Hydraulic kind of feeling. You know, that what do they call it? You know, the oil on glass sort of feeling. It doesn't necessarily make it as free of a dropper, but it gives it a really smooth feeling. And I do like that. Downside to nano grease, it smells like a donkey's ass. I will say that. It smells horrible, but it does gas off after a couple days and you don't smell it at all anymore. Where the KPL smells nice, it smells like cherries, but it smells like that for a couple weeks. Where this just a couple days, it smells bad and then it goes away. Okay. Let's do some disassembly. I have my little rubber mat here. This is also something I got from being an early disciple of Nick Shabazz and watching all his videos. He had these cool rubber mats. I went on, he had a link to Amazon. They had a choice of a few, and this is the one I got. It's got the little compartments on it, which I like a lot. I have a specific anal retentive way that I do this. If I panned out and you can see the rest of my desk, you'd be really surprised that I'm this organized about this stuff, but because my desk is a horrible, disgusting mess. But I do like this to put I know where I put my stuff, and so let's get to it. We're just going to take off one side of this if we can, and I'm pretty sure we can. I think that's what I did before. And nope, don't. See, now, that's what I like when people in pivots put these little traction things on here. You see, I didn't have to use 2 T8s, even though this is a free spinning pivot. I just put my thumb on it, and it held enough to take it off. Oh, one other thing that I use that I don't have out here, and we're going to find before we do reassembly. There she is. Remember, I took the screw off. I almost forgot to get this out. Loctite. I use the stick Loctite. I like it a lot. You'll see why later. Oh, I got to cut off that gross stuff. So the end of this is getting pretty nasty. We'll use it for this, though. But yeah, once it gets nasty on the end, you can just, it works like chapstick. You just screw it up and hack it off and use another little bit. Actually, we're going to do that now. We're going to mess that up before we go here. I'm just going to take a paper towel here and just, yeah, hack off the top. There, now it's all fresh and nice and new again. Yeah, some of the top there was getting pretty nasty. Okay, we'll get to that in a moment. All right, then now let's go back to disassembly. As you see, I put my pivot screw in the round thing, because pivot, round, I don't know, makes sense in my head. Take off these standoffs. And I do remember that they do come off without, I put the standoff ones and the little square one in the top. Again, anal retentive and weird, but I love this. See this Ifixit tool you can just grab. There's a lot of really more expensive ones, obviously. You know, I can't remember the company that makes the cool brass and bronze ones. I would love to have one of those, but they're like not cheap. This was $10 and it works really well. I'm quite happy with it. I ain't gonna switch. Unless, of course, you know, a nice family member or someone buys me one, then So, this is a different screw on the back here. Yeah, so this one goes in a different spot because it's a different screw. See, so now I see where all my stuff goes. And these rubber mats are nice because obviously stuff doesn't bounce away as easy. Ooh, and I just sent the stop pin flying. But I caught it. There we go. Be careful about that. I sent the stop pin flying. Caught it. Stop pin goes there. Now, this is what I wanted to show you, too. If you guys watched the 0562 tie video, I said that it was super milled out inside, as you can see. Wow, is it? That's why this is lighter than the carbon fiber version. This scale weighs like nothing. It's so light. It's super nice. Really do love the milling and stuff on the inside. They put a lot of work on the inside of this. You can see we have these fairly large bearings. I'm going to put out one of my little pads here. Knock one bearing out. The other. Take the pivot out. And then what we're going to do is just take our alcohol. Not for human consumption. Dump that on there. Because these are 3 parts I want to get super clean. Get that cat hair off of there again. It's the same cat hair just floating around catching stuff. Give them a good rub around. That's what she said. Clean this pivot off good. As I said, everything should be pretty clean. All I did was dribble. No, yeah, the pivot definitely had some stuff on it still from the factory. So yeah, like I said, I took this apart, I put it back together, and then I did dribble some oil in there, but the pivot needed a little bit of cleaning, not much. There's just a little bit of schmutz on there. And then I will set the bearings aside over here, keeping things organized again. Clean the surfaces of the blade off, listen to my dog bark. And this I'm going to have to kind of really get in with. I don't have any Q-tips up here. I do use those sometimes, but I always found they always left stuff behind. So using these little cotton things, this is all soaked in alcohol. I just like to just do this. Just make a little projectile. I don't know what you call that. And just do it that way. I find that works just as well. Didn't get anything off from it anyway. Clean off this side. As you can see, this does run, the bearings do run on the titanium. There is no washers in there, but they've been making the 0562 for a long time, and I don't remember hearing anybody complain about that. I am going to completely clean off this lock. I do keep a pencil around here to put graphite on it if I have to, but to prevent lock stick, but I'm going to try not to and just see what happens. And usually if you just get these clean enough, you don't need to do that. But if I have any lock stick, I'll put some graphite on the back of the blade. I think on this knife I'll be able to reach that without taking it apart again, so we'll see. Clean off that. You can be completely anal and clean off the whole inside, but you know, if it doesn't look dirty, honestly, I don't bother doing it. So let's get to reassembling this bad boy. Already. Well, not already, 18 minutes in. But I spent a lot of time talking about this stuff. I'm going to do a couple more disassembly videos over the next few days, I think. I'm not going to hold myself to it, but I'm going to try to do at least one more. I did have a surprise knife come into review that I want to get done also, and I don't like putting out more than one video a day. So, yeah, so we'll put that back in there. Now, I am not going to put grease on that, but I do want to put a little bit of something in there, and we're going to use the nano oil. Since I'm using the nano grease, we'll keep it all in the family for this. I could put KPL on this, but just for this one, just a tiny little bit, just a little drop there. It's always nice to have it in there. And then you probably want to put a bearing in first, right? Now this nano grease, you don't need to use a whole lot. Last time I used this, actually, I used it on our Dyson vacuum cleaner to fix it. We had a seal issue. The seal was dried out, and I put some grease on the seal, and you know what? It fixed it. And my wife was extremely impressed with me, which is always good. Yeah, this may even be a bit too much, but we're going to do it anyway. We're going to see here. All right. Now, I always take any kind of bearings. It's easier on the caged bearings that are like, the metal cages. Which side goes up. It's the smooth side, and I always put the rougher side down towards the frame and the smoothest one towards the blade. These are not quite as obvious, but still, if you feel, does it matter? Probably not, but that's what I like to do. I'm just going to put a little bit more here and here. When you use the grease, it does take a few more flips to get it worked in properly. Again, I'm probably using too much, but I'm not out in the dirt a whole lot or anything, so for me, too much is better than too little. And this, again, this may be the only controversial thing. Some people never use grease, but I do. Sometimes. I haven't in a while. Like I said, this has been a while since I've used this stuff, but I wanted to show it to you because I used to say a lot. I used to be extreme devotee of only grease on bearings and then lube on everything else, and people ask questions, so give me that. And put one little more dot over here. There we go. Now put the stop pin back in. Oh, bumped the camera with my hat. Sorry about that. Made a rhyme. Poet didn't know it, all that stuff. Now I already know from looking this pin is not. I didn't look to see if some pins are one way or the other. I already know that one isn't. That's why I didn't look at it, because again, I had this apart once before. Now, hopefully everything just snaps right back in. And it did. Good old ZT. ZTs are usually pretty freaking easy to work on, I have to say, especially the newer ones. Try to get that somewhat lined up so I don't strip anything out. Come on now, you bastage. Well, that's not wanting to go. You know what? Nothing in life. Oh, you know what? It's good that it didn't. You know why? Because it's telling me, Brian, you didn't put any Loctite on me. Put some Loctite on me before you put me in there, you dumbass. So now my nice clean Loctite. You don't need to go crazy with this stuff. That's plenty. I rarely have pivots back out on me, so sometimes I forget the Loctite and say screw it. There we go. Well, nice and smoothly. We're just going to take a guesstimate at how tight that's got to be. I'm going to be honest with you again. I don't usually Loctite these. But you're watching, so I'm gonna. But no, honestly, I put so much tension on backspacer screws that, especially if they're T8s like this, where I really can, that it's completely unnecessary. Fumble hands. But since I'm doing this on camera, and I know you're all sitting there judging me, and this is probably my favorite knife right now, we will give it the full beans. I'm not going to say it's my favorite knife, like, as far as quantifiable reasons, but man, I sure do carry it a whole lot. I will tell you that. It's just kind of been the one that I grab lately when I'm leaving the house and that's too much Loctite. I don't want to have a strip screw when I go to take this back apart. Blue Loctite, you shouldn't get strip screws, but if you go completely apeshit with it and you have cheap screws, you can. ZT's got pretty good screws, so it probably wouldn't be a problem. But they're not the best. They're not Wii screws. Who'd ever thought we'd say that, right? That Wii has the best screws. They used to have those fucking star screws that were the worst things ever created. And now they have like those amazing, really nice, deep set. Such good screws. Everybody likes a good screw, as they say. All right, we're back together. So you can see it took a lot more time explaining what I was doing than it took to actually do it. Little off center there. Let's fix that. Should have showed you the action on this before I did this, but you can watch the review. I think I put the KPL in there before the review. I can't remember, but... Oh yeah, that's working good. Still a little off. Let's tighten it up just a bit more. About a skosh and an eighth. That's better. All nice and centered up now. Flip it a few more times. I love that sound this thing makes. Yeah, see, the more you flip it, it takes a minute for that grease to work its way around, longer than oil lube will, but yeah, it feels different. I'm not going to say it feels better than it did with the KPL, but it's not quite as drop shutty, but it is more fluid. I like that. Yeah. We'll keep it like this for a while. Next time I clean it out, maybe I'll go back to the KPL when it needs another service. But with how much this thing gets used, probably won't be too terribly long. But I just love the noise this thing makes. I love that. Ting, ting, snap, ting, snap. Check the centering one more time. Now it's back off again a little bit. I think I don't quite have that tight enough. What size? Is this a T8? I do believe it is. Oh, wrong hole there. Here we go. Yeah, I think I got to use both. This is going to be an off-camera moment. Because I think that, I said the pivot was free spinning. It was fine getting it apart, but tightening it back up. There we go. Now we got it. There we are. Yeah, there we go. Now we got it. I just needed to use both. My fingers are so slippery right now. I'm just slipping completely off that flipper tab. It's ridiculous. There we go. All right, now we got it. Cool. So yeah, there it is. That's what I use to disassemble stuff, and that is the inside of an 0562 tie. I hope you enjoyed the gorgeous milling. You guys are probably going to skip ahead to that 1:30 seconds that you all care about, but you guys ask what I use all the time, so now you know. And this is one of the longest videos I've done in a very long time. So we're going to wrap this up. I hope you guys have enjoyed this and found it informative. I'm going to link to as much stuff down below as I can. I'm sure I will miss some, but I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.